Hey everyone, it's Jacqueline.
And Adam.
For Pixie Dust PhD. On our fall 2021 trip down to Walt Disney World, we did a split stay across 3 different Disney Vacation Club resorts. Those were Beach Club Villas, BoardWalk Villas, and Bay Lake Tower. In today's video, we'll go ahead and compare and contrast between those and let you know what we think, so stay tuned. Getting to some basic facts, so for square footage, Beach Club Villas and BoardWalk Villas are nearly identical. I think officially they're 1 square foot different. This is just for the studios, by the way. We stayed in studios. And then over at Bay Lake Tower, that studio is actually measurably smaller. It's one of the smallest options on DVC property for Walt Disney World. Beach Club and BoardWalk both sleep 5, Bay Lake Tower only sleeps 4. Again, that is in that studio setup. All of these were refurbed to some degree back in 2016. So Beach Club Villas was actually a full overhaul. They had the full refurbishment, whereas Bay Lake Tower and then BoardWalk received a refresh. This also means they're all due for a next refurbishment around the same time, either 2022 or 2023. But so for that next refresh, it'll be Bay Lake Tower and BoardWalk will get their full refurbishment, whereas Beach Club will just sort of get a little refresh, that soft goods redo. In terms of the rooms themselves, those are some of your basic facts. Essentially, Beach Club and BoardWalk are pretty similar square footage, sleeps. Bay Lake Tower's a little smaller, sleeps 1 less person. And then for the refresh, it's funny because they all felt about the same, but they actually are on different refurbishment schedules.
Yeah, you really felt like they all had the same amount of newness to it as you were going through all the different parts of the resort.
Yeah. Okay, so let's get to it. Let's start with Beach Club and BoardWalk. Those are both in the Crescent Lake area, so you can walk to or take friendship boats to both Epcot and Hollywood Studios. Beach Club is very, very close to Epcot. BoardWalk sort of in between the two. But in terms of the rooms, I thought they were extremely similar.
Yeah, no, I mean, they felt like they were the same room, just in different buildings. Yeah. The amenities, of course, were different. We'll talk more about that, I'm sure. But just the rooms themselves felt like they copied and pasted it with different decorum. But It's like the same everything. Same supplier for both rooms.
It was shockingly similar. Like you walk in, you have a decently big sort of entry area because that's where the adjoining room door is. And then you have your bathroom area, but it's just like the sink and then the door for the actual bathroom and then the closet. Keep walking a little, you've got your bedroom. You have your sitting area, which then you can pull down into that single sleeper, and then your couch, some sort of table, and then your patio or balcony. Like, they were the same. BoardWalk did feel, the specific room we got felt a little more run down. There were a couple things that were they weren't broken, but they weren't fully perfect. And I will say the BoardWalk room we were in, and I think most, if not all of the BoardWalk rooms still do have the AC unit is not digital. So it's like a manual situation where you're just moving, do I want it off, heat, or cool? And then, how hot, how cold on a rough scale, rather than say like, I want 72 degrees, type it in.
Yeah. It's, AC is important too, and in Florida it should be. That can be frustrating. It's
frustrating from the sense that it feels old, but I actually think I preferred it because you set the temperature, and because it's an older system, I'm pretty sure it's not hooked up to any sort of motion detector, so it just stays the temperature you want, as opposed to the newer locations. And I don't know that they do this in all the resorts. It seems hit or miss to me, but there are some for sure that have like a motion detector sensor, and if you aren't moving around for a while, it just turns the AC off. So sleeping at nighttime can be a little uncomfortable or tricky in those rooms. And like at BoardWalk, in the room we were in, since it wasn't that situation, it was just like a very comfortable temperature the whole time. In both of those, I did really love when you pull down that single bed, the back splash is themed. So at Beach Club, it was like Donald Duck, I think, lounging on the beach. And then at BoardWalk, it was Dumbo taking a little nap. I thought that was really cute. Those were the biggest Disney touches though. The rest of the rooms were a little bit themed to either like a beachy vibe or sort of a carnival-y circus vibe over at BoardWalk, but not a lot of Disney at all in the rooms.
Yeah, no, it was really just that one pull down, and then everything else was just like, modern architectural touches, right? Very subtle, but nothing directly magical.
Yeah, like a little bit on the bed headboard, maybe what does your bathroom mirror look like doorknobs, that kind of stuff, but Not a lot of Disney, really, which I think is interesting because, again, these were both refreshed or fully refurbed in 2016. So that's obviously a choice that they made really recently, and I'll be interested to see what the next round looks like in, 2022 or 2023. And then the resorts as a whole, we didn't spend as much time at Beach Club as we did at BoardWalk. And for both, really, we didn't hang out at the resort a ton. We're more parks people, I would say. But those definitely have different feels. BoardWalk is very kitschy.
Yeah, and it's definitely more in the middle of all the action.
Yeah.
In Crescent Lake, right? So versus Beach Club, we had the room in like the farthest away possible corner out of that resort, but it was really quiet and peaceful, right?
Beach Club was very quiet. BoardWalk, you're on the boardwalk, so it did feel a little busier, like a little more happening to me.
Yeah, for sure. And then I like how Beach Club had their little shop just kind of like in the middle of the resort.
Yeah.
It was actually really nice.
It's also nice that with Beach and Yacht Club, you can stay inside for quite a lot of it, or at least undercover, so if it's pouring, you can still get to most of the offerings in the resort. Versus BoardWalk, you have to go outside to get to almost everything, I think. So it's a little less convenient in that way. And then location-wise, like I said, Beach Club is so close to Epcot. BoardWalk is sort of in between Epcot and Hollywood Studios. I personally prefer the BoardWalk location because it's not that long of a walk to either. Versus from Beach Club, the walk to Hollywood Studios, it's not long, but, BoardWalk's sort of situated nicely in the middle, as opposed to Beach Club, like, heavily favors Epcot over Studios.
Yeah, I agree with you, Jacqueline. How, so close to Epcot, Beach Club. Like, I think one time we got poured on in Epcot and we managed to sneak back in to Beach Club and, took the long way back, but we managed to stay undercover during the pouring rain. So
Mostly.
Yeah.
Not while we were in Epcot.
No, but once we had to Beach Club, we didn't have to contend with going outside again.
Yeah.
Which was nice. But no, overall, the location of BoardWalk in the middle, it's not a bad walk, go either way. And especially if you're going to multiple parks and not just Epcot, it's probably a better location for me.
Yeah, we prefer walking and being able to walk to and from as quickly as we want to, as opposed to relying on buses or the boat transportation even. We took once and I found it to be incredibly slow. So yeah, for walkability, again, we're just two adults traveling by ourselves. I think the BoardWalk location edges it out for me. And then for entertainment, I really enjoyed Ale and Compass Lounge, which you can get to from Beach Club on the inside very easily, but it is a little bit hard to beat being on the boardwalk. Like, Abracadabra is phenomenal.
Yeah, definitely more of a nightlife scene on that side versus just these are some nice restaurants and bars.
Yeah. Overall for me, I would say I probably prefer BoardWalk to stay in. I think the rooms are practically identical, so that's not really a consideration anymore. And then I just like the location better. And also from a financial standpoint, for DVC, it's typically, if not always, less points per night than Beach Club.
Yeah, that can make a huge difference in what you do and how you plan your vacation is how many points. And, we have a lot of pros in that BoardWalk column. As for me, I definitely prefer overall BoardWalk as the resort I would pick.
Nothing against Beach Club. We had a nice stay there, but just for the points cost, and particularly since we aren't the kind of people that like lounge around at the pool for a day or multiple times over the course of many days.
Well, I can see someone wanting to stay at Beach Club for that pool access.
Or if we had kids, I could see Beach Club being a lot more appealing than BoardWalk because I'm not taking my kids to Abracadabra, probably.
Yeah, I hope not.
Well, I'm sure it's allowed, but I don't know. Anyway. So yeah, Beach Club and BoardWalk were both great. The studios on the inside are basically the same. If you're looking for a room just to have a room to go back to and a resort to sometimes go to the things, but not like hang out at the resort a ton, I think BoardWalk's probably just a better deal unless you really want to be right at Epcot or you really are a pool person and want Stormalong Bay.
Yeah, there's definitely situations where you probably want to pick Beach Club, but definitely BoardWalk edges it for us, and probably a lot more people should probably choose BoardWalk and do Beach Club because there are just a lot of pros.
Moving away from Crescent Lake then, our last DVC stay was at Bay Lake Tower. We again stayed in studios, but we experienced all three views. That was Standard View, Lake View, and Theme Park View. Now, Bay Lake Tower is our home resort contract for Disney Vacation Club. It's no secret that I love it. And so that's my winner, like by far.
Well, there wasn't much suspense there, but I also really enjoyed Bay Lake Tower. It was my favorite stay. We spent a good amount of time there, and there was, just was a really nice time, and the location, proximity to Magic Kingdom is magical, right? And it was just a really nice way to cap off our vacation, for sure.
Yeah.
It would be really hard for me to start there and then move somewhere else. Let's put it that way.
Oh, that'll be interesting for the future. So let's talk about the room a little, though. It doesn't matter what your view is, the room is the same. And so far as I could ascertain, your patio or balcony is also going to be exactly the same. They seemed the same to me anyway between our 3 rooms. As opposed to like over at Beach Club, those patios and balconies are vastly different depending on what room you get, which is super weird. But anyway, back to Bay Lake Tower. So that room is a little different because the bathroom is fully contained. So the door is here, your sink is in here, your toilet's in here, your shower's in here. So the sink is not on the outside like it is over at Beach Club and BoardWalk. The sink is also very small. There's like no counter space. There's not a lot of storage space. It's a perfectly functional bathroom. It worked well for 2 people. I don't think I would put 4 people in there though. I would not put 4 adults in there. I don't know about smaller people.
Yeah, 2 adults, 2 children, probably.
It would be tight.
Small children.
I value my space. Let me say that. I don't think I would put 4 adults in a Beach Club or BoardWalk studio either, personally. Right. You lose a lot of space if you have to constantly have the pull-out couch out to be a secondary bed for 2 extra adults, for example. And yeah, I don't know. I value having a little more space, so not for me personally. So although your bathroom is fully contained, the kitchenette is super different. So BoardWalk Beach Club, your kitchenette is just like a little half counter. They throw the things there, mini fridge, microwave, all your standard things. In Bay Lake Tower, you get like a galley style kitchenette basically, where it's walled in on 3 sides and you have all of your kitchenette things, sink, refrigerator, etc. But there's more storage. There's a long mirror here. There's a secondary small counter on this wall that also has a mirror. And so I found that to be really great because it's not a bathroom, but it functioned as if you had that sink space outside the bathroom. So like I put all my makeup stuff over there and that's where I would get ready in the morning. You have your sink, you've got a lot of counter space, you've got good light, you've got multiple mirrors. So I thought it worked really well, not only for storage, but also as a separate space for me to get ready.
Yeah, I think the space allocation, although small, was really well designed.
Right.
To make, your stay as easy as possible.
Yeah. Versus, Beach Club and BoardWalk do have the kitchenette. So there is that sink outside the bathroom. Even, they already have their outside bathroom sink. There's another one. But there's not a lot of counter space. There's not a mirror. It's not really like a place to get ready. Whereas I felt like the Bay Lake Tower space worked really well for that. I stored all my shoes in there. Like, it was just a really thoughtfully designed space, like Adam said, especially with the tight constraints.
Yeah, and not to mention, most of my favorite decor was in Bay Lake Tower as well. Yeah,
so Bay Lake Tower did actually have some like Disney, so the art on the walls was all Mickey Mouse themed, versus the art at Beach Club and BoardWalk, which is like, here's a picture of beach, here's a picture of, some boardwalk looking things, like circus type tent. So it was nice to get some actual Disney in there. But then the rest of the space was fairly similar. There isn't that single pull down bed, so there was a big cabinet piece basically with drawers and storage and a teeny tiny TV. It was the smallest TV by far, but I don't really care. And then you had, a table, a couch. So it was pretty similar in that sense. But yeah, you don't have that sleeper pull down bed for a 5th person. Pros and cons, again, we're never planning on sleeping 5 in a studio, so right. I really don't mind losing it. And then resort-wise, of course, you're connected to the Contemporary through a little sky bridge. The Contemporary, while we were there, was pretty under construction, so a little bit underwhelming. The Wave was closed. The Wave is gone now. Now it's Steakhouse 71, but we were down a restaurant, I guess is the point. So that made it a little awkward because you could have like Contempo Cafe, which in my opinion for like sustenance food is not very good. Or it's like California Grill, and there wasn't really anything in between. I suppose that has been filled now by Steakhouse 71, I hope, to where that's a little bit less awkward.
Yeah, and of course, Top of the World wasn't open either.
Right, Top of the World was not open as of the day we're filming this. It still isn't open, though it could change any day now. So yeah, that was kind of a bummer. I was hoping to be able to experience that. And I know that's not for like sustenance type food either, but that would be cool. Pools at the Contemporary are largely kind of underwhelming for that deluxe level resort. I think that's a commonly held opinion. We did hang out at the pool at Bay Lake Tower. I think it's called the Bay Cove Pool a little bit. It's cute, it serves its purpose. It's nothing to like gawk at or go out of your way for, and neither are the main pools at the Contemporary either. So again, if you're a pool person, like, I don't really think Bay Lake Tower is for you. But being able to walk to the Magic Kingdom, like we could literally get from our door to the front gate of Magic Kingdom in 10 minutes, that is so worth it to me.
Yeah, that was probably one of the most amazing parts of our stay, is just like how easy it was to go to the Magic Kingdom and come back, relax, and go back again, right? Yeah. It was just really nice experience to be that close.
Yeah, and you're on the monorail loop, so not very far from Grand Floridian or the Polynesian, which we enjoyed quite a bit too. So it was nice. It was just nice to be in that loop, in that area, not too far from anything. And just to be able to pop in and out of Magic Kingdom on a whim was chef's kiss amazing. To me, that's more valuable than being able to go in and out of Epcot or Hollywood Studios by foot.
We know some other people may have a different opinion, but again, overall, it's definitely a special time to experience, is when you're that part of your stay where you're that close to the Magic Kingdom.
Yeah, so I remain so glad that Bay Lake Tower is our home resort on our Disney Vacation Club contract. Of course, we can use our points at, almost all of the other resorts, but I would think that we'll try to stay at Bay Lake Tower, if not end on Bay Lake Tower, almost every time.
Yeah, I'm on the team let's end our vacation there. But maybe we do more split stays, right?
Probably. Overall, for me, our stay at Bay Lake Tower was definitely number one. I enjoyed all of the 3 different view categories we stayed in. Obviously, theme park view room is pretty dang special, but it's hard for me to say if it would be worth that many extra points, especially if you're staying for 5 or 6 nights. That adds up to be quite a lot. So I don't know what my ranking is between Standard View, Lake View, and Theme Park View. The insides of the room, though, are exactly the same. So I think it's a great room. I think it's a great layout, use of space. It felt the most comfortable to me and the most like home per se. And then second for me is BoardWalk. Third is Beach Club. Again, I mean, we had great studio stays in all of these places and the proximity to theme parks was fantastic, but Bay Lake is definitely my number one.
Yeah, I agree. Same exact order for me. Pretty much a lot of the same reasons. I think that overall, all the experiences were pretty great. In terms of from being a guest at these resorts, the amenities, and how it played into what we wanted to do and accomplish in the parks each day. It was a lot of fun. We'd do it again.
I would do it again.
Yeah. Especially the Bay Lake Tower part at the end of the stay with Theme Park View. Good way to go out on top.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's pretty special. If you have any questions about our stays or you want our opinions on anything further or more specific, leave those in the comments down below and we'll get back to you. You can also chat to me outside of YouTube over on Twitter and Instagram. You'll find me at PixieDustPhD. We hope you've been enjoying the vlogs and the room tours. I hope you found that helpful, as well as this summary review. If you did, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. Once you're subscribed, you can ring the bell icon to receive notification whenever we upload new videos. At least with these 3 DVC resorts, I don't think you can go wrong. I'm sure the rest are the same, but we'll have to slowly check them off our list over the next decade. We hope the rest of your day is super magical, and we'll see you real soon at Pixie Dust PhD.
Bye.